There's a serious challenge with internet service, so here we're going to be talking to Mr. Smith Toby, Deputy Presidential Press Secretary, and some of government officials in their perspective on the retreat. So, Mr. Smith Toby.
Well, we want to say welcome, Mr. Smith, to the media. How are you today?
Well, let me say good afternoon, good evening, good morning to your followers and viewers on your respective platform. It is my pleasure. I'm very happy that we are here in Compass City, Nimba County. And I'm happy to see all of you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Great. Let's know from you the importance of this cabinet retreat and what necessitated this retreat.
Well, again, like you heard the president in his opening remarks here on today in Uganda to members of the cabinet, the retreat itself is geared towards looking into the government-owned activities. Since the inception of this government, you remember that the government is operating on a pro mantra, and as a government, it is good to come back and check as to what we've done. With just 16 months to election, every conversation around development and performance of this government is key. So the president, in his quest to bring more check and balance and to follow up on some of the issues within the governance of the country, thought to assemble his cabinet ministers here in Nimba, specifically here in Ganta, to counter-check as to where we are as a government in terms of the performance of this government, the challenges, and some of the things that are to be fast-tracked in terms of deliverable. The government wants to achieve, they want to tell the Liberian people what they've done so far. So as they progress to the 16 months to election, those things the president talked about can be tangible and visible. So Liberians can again give this administration the confidence as we move to the 2023 election.
Who were some of the ministers or head of a government agency that spoke today? Maybe made a presentation today. Who were some of those, and what were some of the specifics?
Well, again, the government is here with the functionaries. So we got all of the ministers of the government in Ganta, from the Minister of Finance to the Minister of Health. You can name all of the government ministers, totaling somewhere around 22 of them, with their principal deputies and assistant ministers. So it tells you that it's an entire focus of the government ahead of this cabinet discussion. Today, basically, what's been taking place since the president spoke is the issue on the national economy. So the economy itself has to do with the current status of the country, function on the economic front, and the lead players in that sector has been speaking today. We heard from the Minister of Finance telling the people of Liberia through the cabinet where we are with the current status of the country economy. Also today presenting was the head of LRA, which of course has to do with the tax generating component of our country. Mr. Thomas Donald also presented today, and then the governor of the central bank also made a presentation. They are all in the economic sector of our country. So to understand the movers and shakers within the economic belt of our country is allow those who understand the scenario and those technical jargons within the economic sector of our country to brief the president through the cabinet as to where we sit with the economy, the function, the difficulties, and with those recommendations on things that we ought to tackle moving ahead in the next 16 months as a government.
What do you make of the timing of this retreat and Nimba as the venue, Mr. Toby?
Well, I think it's timely. We've had retreats not just in Nimba, but again, Nimba County is part of Liberia. We did not take the retreat to a country out of Liberia. This is a portion of Liberia. They also needs to benefit from the input of the government. Nimba County is benefiting a lot from development here. There's a lot of government projects with roads and other connectivities taking place there in this county. And the president thought that taking the retreat out of the metropolitan of Mosorado and coming here to Nimba County will also avoid the city distraction, so to allow the people stay in their focus and go through their presentation. As of today, moving forward later on this afternoon, following the lunch break, we will start to talk about integrity issues. So all of the integrity institutions that had to do, the LCC, the GAC, the IAA, all of those institutions will also come to the retreat later on this afternoon to tell the rest of the cabinet and the Liberian people as to where we are with the fight against corruption, those issues that people talked about with holding government officials accountable, how much we've done in that fight. So it's also coincide with the having people accountable. So today we'll have all of those speakers in that integrity institution of Liberia also presenting here at the cabinet. Moving forward to tomorrow, the rest of the ministers will now have time to make a summary report as to their achievement and the challenges in the various institution. And I know after this entire retreat, the next thing that is going to happen is the government will now have to switch her priority, because in certain function of the government need to redirect maybe funding, or there will be some policy statement. Maybe we've done a lot on road, or we're doing a lot in health. We need to go to other function of the government so others can also get the impact. But we will determine that at the end of the presentation from all of the other ministers, including defense, justice, and agriculture, and you can name the rest of them. So it's going to be a day after another day with different presenters, but sticking to the subject of making sure that Liberia as a country can remain our principal agenda.
How will this retreat address the bread and butter issues of the Liberian people, Mr. Toby?
Well, again, every time you assemble the key players in the governance of the country, the bread and butter issue will always be a subject of discussion. And to do that is to allow those players tell us why we are having maybe no smaller denomination of Liberian dollars on the market. If that is affecting the Liberian people as a bread and butter issue, the central bank governor that is here should be able to tell the cabinet, because we are all concerned about that. So if there is an issue within the market space, for example, the commerce minister is in here, she should be able to tell us those issues that is affecting our commerce. If there's an issue with health or education that is also considered to be a major issue, the Minister of Commerce should be able to talk about that. If we have an issue of shortage of rice on our market, or there is no food on our market, if it is a bread and butter issue, the Minister of Agriculture is in there. She should be able to tell the cabinet where we sit. So all of those issues, we expect at the end of the day, the same questions people ask in the various communities are being addressed by the cabinet minister. That is why they are all in there. And at the end of the day, we will definitely get to understand where we need to pay more attention, what are the issues of priority that we need to maybe refocus our attention, because the common purpose of the government is to serve the Liberian people. So if there are challenges in sectors that the government is not delivering, maybe we need to accelerate in those issues, because at the end, the Liberian people will judge this government based on her performance. And the president thinks that to perform is to deliver to the Liberian people. That is why we are sitting here in Ganta. We'll be here for the next few days and putting our house in order, checking ourselves. It's no longer people asking us the question. We're asking ourselves the hard questions and how we can address those questions.
The war in Ukraine is taking a global trend. Is this retreat by the government of Liberia going to address the impact that Liberia will feel from the war that is taking place in Ukraine?
Well, that is a global situation. The pinch of the war in Ukraine is not affecting the entire world. Liberia is no exception. Our economy, our input level in terms of things that we expect to come into Liberia is at extreme, and we are managing our economy very well as compared to other countries. But again, the longer the situation in Ukraine You know, they affect every government of the world. So as a government, yes, those are the conversations that will come in. What is happening with petroleum, for example? What is happening with rice? What is going to happen with other commodities if the war in Ukraine continues? And we are not producing those things here. We're getting it from people around the world. They are also having situation with the war in Ukraine. But again, the best thing to do is the government to find a mechanism along the way to address those issues so that we as a country cannot get stranded, you know, in providing the needs of the Liberian people.
Do you know the cost of this retreat, Mr. Toby?
Well,
you care to tell us?
I'm not the financial planner of the retreat. I mean, I gave you figure in terms of nickel or dime or cent spent on this retreat. But again, it's a government of Liberia retreat. We got partners to the retreat here as well. The government is not operating in isolation. We are working with partners. They've also come as observers to the retreat. They'll be making input where necessary. But off here, no, I haven't been told as to how much is going into this retreat. Again, it's government officials coming here and spending the time here in Nimba. It's part of the governance of our country. What we've brought here to sleep here in Ganta is going to go back to the economy because we are spending it right here in our own country. We are empowering the local economy, and that is a boom. You know, to have the president here in your county for 3-4 days, you're also going to mobilize financial resources for the county. The businesses here are feeling the impact of all of us here in Nimba. But again, I just cannot tell you how much the government is putting into the retreat. The bigger picture of it is that we've come here to discuss the governance of this country with 16 months to the election. What have we done right? Where have we fallen short? How can we develop up? How can we re-emphasize some of the things we've done? What are the tangibles so that we can get better prepared? Because we know that the fight to 2023 is not a walk in the park. We as the governing authority will be questioned a lot than the opposition out there. People want to see our footprint, and to do that is to come in-house and counter-check what we've done and what more we need to do.
Thank you so much.
The July 26th is around the corner.
All right, he's Deputy Presidential Press Secretary Smith Tuwit. They're speaking with members of the media on the sidelines of this cabinet retreat in Gumpa City, Nimba County. Well, we'll do more sideline interviews for you as far as this retreat is concerned. And so thanks for watching. It's been a wonderful time having you on. We'll come back to you in a jiffy. Thank you very kindly.